Hello world, my name is Linton Johnson and I'm making this YouTube video in response to a funeral that I attended last week. My uncle Douglas Johnson died November 8th and we had his funeral last Saturday. And during the funeral we had a chance to talk, say a few words, but due to time restraints, he had to cut a little short. So what I talked about at the funeral, I wasn't able to elaborate on exactly what I wanted to talk about. So I'd like to take this moment to share some of my thoughts that I had. At the funeral I talked about, there were two particular times that I cried for Doug's life. And the first time I cried, it was back in like '88. I was in the car with a group of his friends. I think we was coming from home running in pizza. I was like 8 years old. I was in the back seat with Smooth, Brian Houston. And Doug was on the roof of the hood, and everybody's trying to get him off the car. And Doug, being so silly, he didn't do it. And so Smooth had me to shed some tears so Doug get off the car. So, being the actor that I am, I was able to pour some tears out on the spot. And it was like, when Doug found out, he got down and came and consoled me and whatnot. So I like to think that that was a mission accomplished the first time. And the second time was at his funeral. And I like to think that those were tears of joy, and just thinking about how we can turn this negative thing into somewhat of a positive. And what's the positive? The positive is, you think about how loved Doug was. And if you knew Doug, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There was a guy there and talked about how Doug was the nucleus of everything. And when you lose the nucleus, man, you lose that middle, it's kind of hard to replace that. And one of the things I was thinking about, let's try to keep Doug here forever. And how do we do that? We keep Doug here forever as long as we're here. And how do we stay here? By eating healthier. I look at Doug. Doug died when he was 41. And when I look at that, there's no way he should have died that early. You can say, God took him at this particular time. He took him on this day. He in a better place. I understand all that. But I beg to differ slightly, because Doug was in control of what he ate. If Doug would have ate healthier, he would still be here with us. You got to look at all the things that you do. It carries over to what your life is the next day. Because Doug wasn't hit by a bullet. Doug didn't see miss a step and trip over a curb and break his own neck. Doug ate the wrong foods. He had an ailment before. He had ate healthy, got back right, but went back to eating that same death food. And this is what happens. And so the way that we can save Doug's life is by saving our own. And when I think about how precious Doug was, that's how much he meant to us, and everybody was around us. Like, I remember when I was younger, we was on his front porch, and a guy, he was angry about something before he came up to us. And by being around Doug for a couple of moments, man, I remember the guy left. Doug had made a joke about this, and the guy left in a happy state. And I remember Doug had so many friends. I asked him, like, Doug, man, how do you get so many friends? How do you get love so much? Because, I want that. I would think everybody would. And he told me that he treats everybody the same. He loved everybody. And he said if a guy's known to be a thief around somebody, he wouldn't treat them like a thief when they came around him. And that's so big, because how often do we take the assessment of what somebody else gave somebody, and then when they come around you, you want to hold them accountable to that? But Doug wasn't like that. He gave everybody like their own fair share of who they were. He treated everybody the same. And not only was Big Doug loved, he was well respected. You didn't want to let him down. I remember when I was in the Randy Brown tournament, and I was playing this guy, I think they call him Mike Jordan, and I had sprained my ankle. And it looked like I was going to lose because, I sprained my ankle. But it's like when Big Doug came in there, he was like, at ease! It was like, we're not going down, And it's like when I saw Doug, it was like, oh, I can't lose in front of Doug. Big Doug here, Mom, I can't lose in front of him. I remember another time we was at Shea Park tournament, and I had dunked on this one guy, I ain't gonna say him name. I ain't gonna put him out there like that. And another guy had hit me from behind. And it's like when he hit me, like the whole park had went up. I remember Redbird, Big Doug was out there. And Doug was a big dude, he's a massive dude. And I remember he had shifted like the whole crowd. And I remember afterwards, the guy came up to me, he was like, man. He's like, if I would have knew you was Big Doug, and if y'all would have never did that, And that's the type of respect he got. And I remember I think it was like Father's Day. It was some years ago. And he had bought all his friends like Father's Day card and just put $1 bill in there. You know, now we're in the hood now, and somebody take their time out to do that for somebody. I remember Brian Smith. I know you remember because it looked like it really touched you at that time. But it's like for somebody to do that, for somebody to give so much to us like that, means so much. I mean, man, you know, I would think that a fair exchange would be for us to do something to him, for him. And when I look at the funeral, it was so many people there. I look at all the love that was in there for this man now. I'm not saying anything, but it's a little easier to just come in there and cry, you know, and forget about him, you know, tomorrow, next day. But it would be more, it'd be more meaningful for us to take some action and do something, because it's easy to forget. And the thing that I'm talking about doing is start understanding everything that you put in your mouth. Everything. Like when you buy a car, you don't just buy a car. You buy a house, you don't buy a house. You get appraisal and all that. So like the foods that we eat, from chitlins, cheese doodle, flaming hots, and you read the back of those ingredients, you see stuff that say monosodium phosphate. You see sodium tetraromate, juchakachaka, Bamba Buddha, Mutatita. You don't know what that stuff is. You can be eating Dougie on the stick, aka hydrogenated oils, and we eating it. And that stuff is killing us. You know, I think about even after the funeral, we had fried chicken and macaroni and cheese, and I'm in there like, you know, this is how it starts. And everybody like, well, no, not now, then. Well, I'm like, if not now, when? You know, I look at Redbird, and I love Redbird to death, but if somebody, how can somebody keep watching him eat cheese and order like triple cheeseburger from Three Sisters? How can you sit up there and look that man in the eye and honestly tell him that you love him? You know, because cheese clogs your arteries. Cheese is what caused the heart problems that Big Doug had. You know, I look at my Uncle Ron. I didn't know he died before he was 40 because of MS. You know, and a lot of people talk about, well, it tastes good. It tastes good. You know, it's a lot of stuff that I used to like. I used to love the bacon, pork bacon. I used to love McDonald's Big and Tasty. I used to love it. Triple cheeseburger for $1. I used to get a couple of them. But that stuff was killing me. Like I remember we was in San Antonio, we used to have the rookies go get Krispy Kreme donuts. I used to talk to the food. I was like, Krispy Kreme. And listen, if I ate you every day, what would you do for me? Would you help me to stay in shape? You know, could you help me for everything, all the hard work I done put into my body? Could you help that? And the answer is no. All that sugar gonna take away. But so, yeah, I liked it, but that doesn't mean it's good for me. You know, and so many people talk about, you know, my grandmother lived till she was 100, she ate this food. But you gotta understand, when they was eating that food, they was making their own food, they was raising their own food. And we're not doing that now. You know, so the thing that I think about is we have to take time and understand exactly what we're eating every day, because so many people are digging their grave with their teeth, with their own mouth. Doug being 41, he should have never passed, should have never left us. But death is inevitable. Doug is not here now. So it's up to us to carry on his memories. If you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for Big Doug. Because one thing I know, Big Doug was loved. Everybody loved him. And I just think that we constantly dying from the same problems, the same diseases, but we're not changing our diet. We're not evolving from that. We keep eating it because we like it, it tastes good, and that don't add up. So I appreciate everybody for watching this. Don't forget, because just when you leave this, you're going to go have Thanksgiving dinner. Think about that food that you're eating, the meats, everything. Just understand how it's affecting you, and you are what you eat. So I thank you for watching. Life is good.